Hello everyone and welcome to the Waffle Flower channel. It's Shannon here, and today I'm going to be watercoloring some die cuts. So I've got the Greenery Die there. This is a really awesome set. It just came out in the winter release, and I really love these dies. Now the die set comes with 6. In the process of making this video, I realized that one of my dies I put away, one of the leaf dies I put away with a different set. So I apologize. I'm only using 5 here. There's a smaller 6th leaf, and that comes with the die sets, but I'm using only 5 leaves today. I've got watercolor paper right there, and I'm going to die cut these leaves out of this watercolor paper. In the end, I will actually make 2 sets of these 5 leaves, so I will have 10 leaves in total. So just popping them out here, and they cut beautifully. I have had no problems with these dies, even with that really intricate leaf right there. He's just so many lines, he just gets a little stuck, but I've had really no problems with these dies, and they've been really fun to play with. And I'm just popping them out of their dies here, and then we'll cut to, I won't show you all 10 because it's the same process when I cut the 5 other ones. Okay, so there's all 10 of my leaves. I'm going to move those out of the way. I've got a piece of cardboard here, and I'm going to pull out my tape runner. This is permanent tape adhesive. I'm just going to run a couple strips on there, and then I'm going to rub it onto my clothing to pick up some of the lint and fuzz that's on my clothes. I'm doing this to reduce kind of the strength of the adhesive, because I want that to be sticky and tacky to hold my leaves down while I paint them, but I also want to remove them later after they've dried. So I've got my leaves stuck down on there, and I'm pulling out my watercolors here. I've got my watercolors, a brush, and a paper, or I'm using a towel to kind of dry my brush up between some colors. Okay, so I'm going to watercolor these like I would color with my Copic markers. I'm starting with my lightest shade of green, and then I'll work down through my shades till I get to my darkest shades. So it's pretty much the same process as you would color with your Copics, just laying down that lightest shade. Okay, and then I'll move on to, I've cleaned my brush, and I'll move on to my darker color in just a second here. Oh, but I am going to incorporate a little blue on some of these just to get some variation between the leaves. And when I switch to a new color, after I put that color down, I'll clean my brush and dry it a little bit on the towel, and then go back and blend that in between space, but between the green and the that transition space between the green and the blue. And I do that same when I move to a darker shade, so I'll kind of blend in between that lighter shade and that darker shade to kind of create a smoother transition, so it's not so so you don't see the brush strokes as much. And that's basically the process that I'm doing: applying that darker shade, cleaning my brush, drying it a little bit, and then going back in and blending it out, that transition area between the two, my lighter shade and my darker shade. So that's pretty much this process. And it's somewhat lengthy, so I apologize for speeding this up, but I did go through like 5 colors, so I did take some time to paint these leaves. And the whole reason why I am die cutting them first, as opposed to just coloring a panel of watercolor paper with my greens and then cutting them, the whole reason why I'm not doing that is because this way, when they're die cut, I can see the edges of the leaves, and I can kind of paint them and shade them to look a little bit more realistic, so they'll have a little bit more natural look. Instead of, if I just were to paint a sheet of watercolor paper and then die cut, I wouldn't necessarily have my dark shades at like the edge of the leaves and have like the tips of the leaves dark. I just wouldn't be able to recreate that natural leaf look as much. So that's the whole reason why I am die cutting them first and then watercoloring them, which admittedly it's a little bit more fussy, but thanks to the sticking them down on the that adhesive, that kind of helps, so it just holds them in place. So that helps a lot. Otherwise, you'd be holding these, and that would be kind of not messy to say the least, but also a little bit annoying just to have to hold each leaf and paint it and set it down. So this is a really big help, is to have them stuck down onto this cardboard. And so I also go back to my lightest shade of green when I feel like I need a little bit more help with that transition. So I'll kind of mix that lighter green with that darker shade, and that kind of helps to blend it too. So I'm just working, now this is my darkest shade here. This shade is like a really sagey, almost, it's borderline black. It's pretty much a black green. And I loved to incorporate this one on here because this is where I think they really start to pop, is with that darkest shade. And also when you watercolor like this, when you die cut them first and then you watercolor them, you get the edges a little bit more. So you don't have quite this stark white edge as much. And just continuing to blend that darkest shade out by cleaning my brush, drying it, and then going back over and mixing that together. And I do go back and get other previous colors and kind of help to blend things out a little bit. So we're almost done here. I just have a little bit more to do on these last two leaves, and then we'll be finished. So when I'm done, I'm just going to let this dry. And now they've dried, you can see, and I'm just going to pop them off. So see how nicely they just come right off of there. I almost wish I did this on watercolor paper, because I also like that shadow, that outline from the leaves. I think that's kind of cool looking too. Okay, this is the Hey Hi Hello dies. This is also new. It came out in the winter release. I cut them twice, one out of white cardstock and one out of like a corally pink. I later realized after I did this that I only needed to do it once, but you know, hindsight. Okay, so this is my embossing ink pad. What I'm going to do now is add gold. I'm going to gold emboss these. So all I'm going to do is press this die cut into the ink pad. I'm going to leave a little spot uninked. That's the spot I'm going to hold. And now I'm going to pour over my gold embossing powder. Use my tweezers so I don't get my fingers so covered in embossing powder. And there you go. So I've got it embossed, and I'm going to pull over my heat tool here and just show you the whole process. Just touching up a little bit there. And now I'm going to heat set this. So I got it a little close to my fingers there, so I'm letting it dry just for a second, and now I'll hold it and do the other portion. And now that the whole part that I just inked up is heat set, I'm going to do this other tiny bit here. Press it in with my embossing ink pad, and then get it covered with the gold embossing powder. And now I'll heat set this. And make sure you move your embossing powder away before you turn your heat tool on, otherwise you blow it off your table, which I did a little bit there. But there you go, you can see the whole thing. Now I went ahead and just did the other three. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to inlay these letters. So I've got a piece of washi tape there, and I'm just placing in the back. So now the sticky adhesive is now facing forward, and now I'm going to just inlay those letters. Now these are the letters that I cut from the pink or coral cardstock, and I'm just putting those in. Now if I was wiser, I would have realized I could have cut this all out of the coral cardstock and then just gold embossed the negative spaces with the gold embossing powder, and then just inlaid the letters. But oh well, I did a little bit extra die cutting. That's okay. Okay, so here's my card base. It's an A7 card, so it is 5x7 or 10x7 and folded in half. And these are all my leaves that are all dried, and I'm just going to arrange them here. And then I'm going to adhere them with some liquid adhesive. It's a matte adhesive, so if I do get a little exposed, that it'll dry without a glossy shine, so it won't be as noticeable. And that's especially important on something like this black cardstock, where shiny stuff seem to show a lot more. So I'm just applying some adhesive, not all over, just to like the base of the leaf, because I don't want it to be completely flat. I like that the leaves pop up a little bit and you get some shadows. on the black cardstock because some of the leaves they're just popped up a little bit. I'm even bending them, as you see there, bending them and encouraging them. I'm conditioning them a little bit I want them to kind of not lay flat on this card base. Almost done here. So you see it goes really fast. All right, and that's my last leaf. Now I'm going to pull back over, and I'm just going to set that aside to dry. I need a little bit more glue there. And I'm going to use my just some tape to hold all the leaves down a little bit while I'm just using my tape roll of painter's tape and just holding those leaves down while they dry. So now I've got my sentiments dies here, die cuts, and I'm just using some foam tape and cutting little strips and applying it on the back. I want these to also be raised and have some dimension, add some more dimension to my card, and plus that way they kind of cover up all the ends of the leaves a little bit better. Okay, so there you got to see a little bit of my tape roll holding that down. Okay, so now I'm going to just pull off the backs here and attach these sentiments. Now the trick here with these, since it's a trio, start with your middle sentiment first and then do your other two. So it's easier to center if you start with the middle one first, and then you can center your top and bottom sentiments around it. So that's just a little trick. And you can see I lost my O there, so I had to pop that back in real quick. There we go. And here's my last part of my sentiment, the top one. And this card is all, once I get it stuck there, it's all done. So I made one more card that I'm going to show you after I show you a close up of this, that I made with all the same kind of techniques. I watercolored the leaves, and I even did some gold embossing, but I just used different cardstock. So here's the second card here. So see, I used, my card base is made out of that coral cardstock. The leaves are colored the same, but they're just arranged a little bit differently. And then the sentiments are die cut out of black, and then I cut little strips of white cardstock and then adhered them behind the letters. And that's how I did that card. So if you want any more product info, please visit waffleflower.com, and you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful day.